Hello and welcome to another weekly supplier diversity and small business economic report. I'm Jamie White here to discuss the top topics of the week as it pertains to small and diverse businesses. Before I start, I definitely want to thank everybody. I got a couple more people to subscribe to the to our YouTube, so I really appreciate that. A ton more views when it comes to SoundCloud as well. So yeah, again, definitely appreciate that. Uh, I'll continue to try to get this to everyone weekly. Appreciate the support, and definitely hope that it continues in the near future. Now, for this week, we got a lot of good news that came out when it comes to the economy, small business, and I also want to talk about some other things as well. I try to do one kind of, I guess, off the cuff topic, but that also relates to small businesses and how to, grow your business. But for today, with that being said, for that intro, for today, I want to talk about a couple of things. The first piece I want to start off with is the Kudlow, ooh, and him speaking about the state of small business. So he's one of the top advisors when it comes to the economic policy for President Trump and the Trump administration. Um, Basically it's about a 30-minute video. I'd recommend you check it out if you have the time. But just to summarize some of the key points, for the most part, he basically he toes the party line when it comes to when asked questions about the Trump administration and what are their plans over the next couple of years. About the hey, we're going to be focusing on growth. Trump's going to try to get a trade deal done with China. We'll see, and different things about stuff like that. So some of the key points here, and I'm actually going to go to a comment I actually left on the video. So if you want to see my comment, go ahead and click on the video. As you can see, Supplier T News. Basically, I just said what I said before, but as you can see, a couple of gems that Kudlow included was that Larry Kudlow himself guaranteed at least um, a 3% GDP growth rate over the next 10 years based on the Trump administration policies that they're going to enact. He also doesn't believe that there should be a federal minimum wage, which is kind of him specifically, so we won't get into that. But he also talked about the new budget that's coming. He mentions that President Trump is going to be very tough on on raising spending because, as you know, or if you're not aware, the last budget was kind of high, and it did add a lot of money to the deficit. So going into that, what the Trump administration seems to be trying to push is a much scaled down version of their new budget, which is going to cut. And what Kudlow says was it will not touch defensive spending or large entitlement programs such as like Social Security and Medicaid, but um, it will touch literally everything else. There's apparently supposed to be a 5% reduction as a base. It could be higher or lower depending on what other pieces of the government they're taking a look at. But that's essentially what they're trying to do when it comes to the different programs in the government. In addition to that, they think that that's going to help scale down spending as well as the growth rate that they're currently undertaking. So they said that what Cullo said is that they're not going to make any deals when it comes to tax cuts. So they're going to try to push the tax cuts that they made last year. They're going to try to keep those. And there's a couple other things, but one of the honestly alarming things in the video was it appears to be Kudlow, and we'll see if Trump takes this position as well. But their unwillingness to make any type of deals when it comes to anything almost that isn't within their agenda. The reason why I say that this is troubling is because of the election that's going to happen next week. If the Democrats do take over the House, and the Trump administration continues their stance of non-negotiating, we could see a stoppage. And with the way that the deficit is currently, if they are unable to continue that cut low guarantee of that 3%, we could start seeing some issues arise, and especially when you're talking about there may be a downturn coming up. So yeah, that's how we're going to start off the day, right? Let's move forward. Again, keep an eye on that, especially if the Democrats take the House. That is definitely a time to start researching kind of what's going on with these policies. Because if they're going to take a tough stance, this could be uh, a very troubling business economy over the next couple of years. But let's move forward. So there's two studies that were released on small businesses that I want to talk about. One is the ADP, the next one is the Paychecks. So I want to keep in mind that when it comes to this podcast, what we're looking at here is small businesses and small and diverse businesses. So I am aware that the monthly report came out, just discussing wages and the growth of jobs and whatnot and opportunities, and that was really really good. It was very high. I don't know the exact numbers that kind of came out of that study, but I am aware of it. However, again, for this podcast, we're focusing on the small businesses within that report, and for that, that was a little bit not. Yeah, it was different, right? It was a different report in terms of how small businesses are doing. So the good news is that it's both are basically saying that it is still a strong economy. However, it is just simply a slower growth than it has been over the last couple of months. So we're seeing a bit of a slowdown, but we are still seeing things grow. So, for example, I think a really good example is that on ADP on Wednesday, so this Wednesday, reported almost 230,000 new private sector jobs. That's higher than the revised 218 that ADP has from its initial 230. Um, in addition, the expectations was around 178, but they were able to increase that almost 50,000. Was that? Yeah, almost 50,000 50,000 new jobs. So it's like 49,000, so almost 50,000. Um, So basically, it kind of goes into more in depth in terms of like where those jobs were added. For both reports, both ADP and Paychecks, they both said that trade and transportation and leisure and hospitality were the big ones. For the Paychecks, they also included construction. But so those are kind of the big areas of improvement. Now, November and December are actually usually pretty good months for small businesses, in particular small business, because if you're not aware, Small Business Saturday does happen in November. So expect a huge jump when it comes to sales and revenue um, for small business. So this should be a pretty good month for them. And then December, it's usually kind of a downturn, or not downturn, but just kind of a decrease in when compared to November, just because there's just going to be so much money coming out of November because of the small business Saturday piece. So this should be another high and promising month for small businesses moving forward. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to mean by like wages, what it means for wages and hirings, but which probably should be higher because we are in the holiday weekend and people. This is usually a perfect time. You got people, students in the November December months out of school. It's a perfect time to get some temp hires, so you may see some rises with that as well. But as you can see, Paychecks pretty much says the same thing. It was an increase, but not as much as previous months. As you can see, job growth is down about 0.8% from last year. So if you're looking at year to year versus month to month, it's a little bit of a decrease, but still. And let me point to it real quick. Where's the chart at? Yep. But as you can see, the key growths here are leisure and hospitality, construction, trade, and transportation. And then it also goes into like the different regions, but it's been pretty much the same two regions that have been top for the past couple of months, which is the top region for employment growth was the South, and then the wage growth was the West. So pretty normal. Okay, so now let's move over to a more of a global outlook when it comes to business. I said this last week, and I'm just going to continue to push the narrative. Don't want to promote fears, but for me, and if you follow this podcast, you already know I'm a little concerned about the European economy. And as you can see here, biggest Italian factory slump since 2014 is hitting the euro economy. This is something to take note of. We do know the slowdown in China is also happening, and again, we're looking at factory slumps, more so manufacturing. I'm if Europe's being hit and China is being hit, I do believe that at some point it will slow down the growth in America. And what we're seeing is that there are some estimates that it's going to come in 2019, the latest being 2020. which would really suck for the Republicans because that would be an election year. So you definitely don't want it to hit during the election year. But that's neither here nor there. But um, yeah, so that's pretty much what we're seeing in Europe. Again, it's just a continuation on what I was talking about last week. I'll try to keep you guys abreast on what's going on in the future. If anything changes, I'll definitely let you know. But again, if you're connecting with Europe and China, those two specifically, definitely want to just be aware of kind of what's going on for the future. Next up, November 5th begins National Veteran Small Business Week. Nothing big here. Just wanted people to be aware that November 5th will be the National Small Business Week. So definitely go out and, if you know a veteran small business, take the time, support them, purchase some things when it comes to next week, connect with them, do what you can. But I do think that I definitely wanted to highlight it moving forward. This is an initiative pushed by the Small Business Administration. I think it's a good one, makes sense. And again, if you know of any veteran small businesses, or if you're a veteran small businesses, definitely contact me, reach out, and I would love to promote your stuff up for next week. Okay, how the midterms could impact Trump's economic policies. So this is a really quick one, and again, I do think that this is important. Usually, I don't talk about politics, but for this, I do think it does matter because this can affect the economy based on if Trump is able to push certain policies. Right now, Republicans are the majority House, Senate, and they have the executive branch, the presidency. But so because of that, they're able to push. Basically, if Trump says he wants to do something, pretty much for the most part, outside of outside of some things, uh, he's been able to pretty much push through things like the tax cuts pretty easily. But if there's a switch, then that means policy won't be able to be pushed as easily, and that means that there may be some slowdown in policy, which could lead to slowdown in the economy. So it just talks about three scenarios that you're pretty much already aware of. Democrats win the House, Republicans keep both House and the Senate, and then Democrats somehow win the House and the Senate. So first two, we probably already heard about something that I talked about before, which is if the Trump administration is taking these hard stances, that is not good for anyone, because Democrats will probably, uh, with this win, they will feel as if they have support from the majority of Americans. Because of that, they will most likely take hard stances in certain policies. Don't know what they will be right now. Maybe it'll probably have to do with like Obamacare, which I could see that happening. But and if we got two parties that are taking hard stances, oh, and immigration as well. But if they have two parties taking hard stances, I mean that's it's going to be a slowdown. Whatever your opinion is on that, that's fine. I'm just here to report about it. If Republicans keep both, and we're going to pretty much continue when it comes to these policies, we'll see. Again, as you can see, one of the things is it's unclear whether these measures are sustainable. Obviously, there's always going to be difference of opinion. Liberals, any independents are saying that this is just unclear right now. It's not a bad or good thing. They're just liberals are saying it's not going to work. Conservatives are saying it is going to work in terms of it'll continue being all great for the economy. But if you look at those independent economists, they're saying that it's just unclear and it's anyone's guess as to like where if this is going to continue to be greater, it's gonna drop. It's just unclear. So Republicans keep both. It's more clear that it'll be unclear. If Democrats win the House, then it's going to probably switch, and it'll probably be a little bit of a slowdown. I believe that's more so my guess. But if Democrats sweep both, then this is probably the nightmare scenario. Well, this is the nightmare scenario for Republicans. But what this report is saying is that Congress will now focus more on bringing new investigations into conflicts of interest and taxes. So, you know, again, I'm not going to get into politics, but when we're looking at specifically for an economic standpoint and kind of what's the best for the economy, what's best for the small business piece, any right now that is the focus. I mean, it is what it is. Whether you like the president or not, it is a focus. Or if you agree with his tactics or not, it is kind of his main focus. Democrats sweep, that means that focus may switch to something else. And because of that, that may not be good for small businesses. But we'll see what happens. Now, last up, I want to talk about. See how much time is that? Okay, it's about 15 minutes. Last up, I want to talk about just 13 podcasts for entrepreneurs today. I actually haven't. I looked at a couple of things on this list, like two, and they were pretty good. So figured I might as well do the whole 13. Let you pick for yourself. So you can see the School of Greatness is on here, the Tim Ferriss Show, and then there's a couple of other ones that you can definitely take a look at if you're interested. I do think that I know it helps me to just kind of look to listen to podcasts here and there. It does get you thinking about some things, um, and it can be utilized for your business as you're looking to grow. So I would definitely suggest podcasts outside of my own. First me, of course, because it's great. But outside of me, definitely check out some other stuff if you have the time and give your thoughts there. But with that being said, as always, I really appreciate you coming on and listening to my thoughts about the economy, small businesses, and for small and diverse businesses. As always, please like, subscribe, share your thoughts. Don't be afraid to comment, and share with your family or friends. With that being said, thank you for your time, and I will see you next week.